What's up, interview hackers? Sam here from Byte.com, and in this video, I want to talk about the concept of the perfect being the enemy of the good. And this is something that I see so often when people are preparing for their interviews, is that they want everything to be perfect. They try and say, let me come up with the absolute perfect interview prep plan. And until I have that plan, there's no point in me doing any interview prep because I don't have the perfect plan yet. So let me take the time. I'm going to spend this time. I'm going to plan everything out down to the letter. I'm going to say, okay, day one, I'm going to do this. Day two, I'm going to do this. Day three, I'm going to do this. And they keep going through and spending all this time planning. But then here's the catch. They get to like within a week of their interview, and they have spent all this time planning. And you know what? They never actually go and do the work. They never actually put in the work because they spend so much time planning. They spend so much time thinking about what it is that they need to do and what the most optimal way to do something is, that they don't actually do the work. And I pulled up this example here that I wanted to share with you guys because I think this is relevant here. And this is a book that some of you may be familiar with, called The 4-Hour Body. And this is a book by Tim Ferriss, who also wrote The 4-Hour Work Week. And essentially what he talks about in this book is a lot of sort of unconventional ways for you to build muscle, for you to lose weight, for you to do these different sorts of things. And one of the things that he talks about is this thing called the slow carb diet. And now the slow carb diet is essentially a low carb diet, but he lets you do things like eat beans, eat various stuff that is not necessarily allowed on a low carb diet normally. But one of the biggest aspects of this that I think is really interesting is rule number 5 of the slow carb diet, and you guys might be able to see this, is take one day off per week. And basically what he says is there are no limits or boundaries during this day of gluttonous enjoyment. There's absolutely no calorie counting on this diet or on this day or any other day. And basically what he's saying to do is take one day per week where you just go ham and you eat whatever the heck you want. And the question is, why would you do this? If your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to improve your fitness, why would you take one day to just go eat whatever the hell you want? That's obviously counterproductive, right? It's obviously going to set you back, and it's obviously not the best way for you to lose weight. And yes, maybe that's true from a technical standpoint, but what Tim Ferriss realizes in this book is incredibly smart, which is that you sticking to the diet 80% of the time is better than having the perfect diet that you never stick to. You sticking to this diet that is 80% correct, which means that, 80% of the time you're eating the right things, and then that other 20% of the time you're going ham, you're eating whatever, is better than you saying, let me create this super strict diet. I'm going to do like this bodybuilder diet where I'm going to eat brown rice and chicken and broccoli for every meal. And then every third day you say, oh, I hate this. This is so boring. I'm going to eat something else. And so what he realized is it's all about that psychology. And the same is true when it comes to interview prep. And this is what I see people do a lot of the time, is they basically say, well, if I can't study perfectly, I shouldn't study at all. And that is such a flawed concept, because if you do that, then you're 100% setting yourself up for failure. Rather than saying, okay, well, maybe I wasn't perfect this day. Maybe I didn't get in as much studying as I wanted to. Maybe I missed studying yesterday, but I can still come back to it today and give it 110%. You're letting yourself fall off that wagon. You're letting yourself say, oh, well, screw it. I'm not going to bother anymore. And so I want you to think about how this can relate to your interview prep, and how you can think about, rather than trying to make everything perfect, just doing the 80% solution, doing the thing that's at least going to make you progress, even if it's not ideal progress. What that might mean is that, like, say you need to sit down to study one day and you don't know, like you haven't planned out what you're going to study. Don't spend an hour planning and use all your time just figuring out, like, what the hell are you going to do in the first place. Just sit down and do a practice problem. Just sit down and use any of the techniques I talk about. I've talked about so many different strategies during these Facebook Lives on my YouTube channel. I've talked about so many strategies for, like we talked about just on Monday, how to switch from asking that what question to asking that how question. We've talked about different ways to approach these problems. Don't overthink it. And just focus on getting in there and starting to actually do work. And if you do that, I promise you're going to see a huge difference in your results. Another example, and I'm using a lot of fitness and health examples here because this is a place where people tend to struggle a lot, and there's a lot of research on this. Another strategy that you can use is to say, set your minimum for the day. So a great strategy for working out is to say, well, I'm not feeling good today. And so I'm not going to say, okay, well, I'm just not going to work out. I'm going to say, okay, well, I just need to do this minimal amount of work. And I set that minimum bar for myself for every day that I go to the gym. I say, okay, I'm just going to do 5 pull-ups. And if I just do 5 pull-ups, that's a good day. I'm allowed to stop after 5 pull-ups. But if I'm feeling good, if I want to do more, I can. I'm allowing myself to say, okay, well, let's increase the volume if we are, if I'm feeling good and if I want to do that, I can increase that volume. I can go further and further. But if I'm not feeling it, I don't have to. And so in the same way, you can do that with your interview prep. You can say, okay, what is the minimum I'm going to do each day? At minimum, I'm going to do 1 practice problem. Now, I might be feeling great. I might do more practice problems. I might do, some other studying. I might do this or that or the other thing, but I don't have to. As long as I get in that 1 practice problem, that is good. I made progress for the day. And so I want you to think about these strategies. Think about how you can take your interview prep and focus on doing the 80%, doing something that's good even if it's not perfect, and don't let that perfect become the enemy of the good. And with that, that's all I got for you today. If you enjoyed this, definitely go check out our free guide that includes 50 of the most common coding interview questions that you might see in your interview. Really useful. We have a ton of people download that. I appreciate you joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.